It is what is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Hello everyone. Hope everyone is good. Just get adjusted here. How is everybody? Experiencing a lot of lag with my iPad for some reason. So hopefully I'm able to see you guys. It's also really blurry on my iPad. It's like not wanting to work very well. Everybody. Goodness gracious. I dug out a clean craft sheet for y'all. It's kind of a Christmas miracle. Yay, mulattoes. All right. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have ya. Hopefully my iPad catches up and I'm not blurry. You know what, Beverly? Let's put some structure to my day too. Last night, one of our smoke alarms was chirping 3 times. Does anybody know what it means? I now know, by the way, thanks to Mr. Google, why a smoke alarm chirps 3 times in a row. Not 1 time is a low battery. 3 times it means that it's about to fail. So replacing the battery won't help. And it's in the middle of the night, so you can't run to Home Depot and buy a new smoke alarm. So that was delightful. So my husband and I were both up half the night with Reed finally took it off the wall and managed to get it to stop. So, oh, delightful. Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Funny that it's snowing there. We've been 85 Fahrenheit here, so nice and warm. I'm glad it's not blurry there. Must be my internet connection that is not, I keep not catching up. So if I lose ya on the comments, I might lose ya. So c'est la vie, c'est la vie. So the new Show Us Your Media came up today. If you go to my blog is, if you go to dinawakely.com and then click on blog, you'll be able to see the blog. It's the first post because it just went on. So the new Show Us Your Media. No, Caroline, it's not a new battery. It's the smoke alarm's about to fail. We actually did change the battery just in case, but so Show Us Your Media is up. This time the prompt is I'm grateful for community. And I chose that because of the times we're living in, because of the way that we're all coming together, that we're having to connect in new and different ways, in ways before that just seemed kind of a time waster, like social media is now, these ways are now essential. They're keeping us connected, and our community is so important. I love, hi Miss Dell. I love that the news sometimes does stories about nice things people are doing for others as well. And that just makes me happy. So very, very cool. Okay, so today we are going to play around a little bit with gel plate. Now, the Dina Wakely, Diane Reevely gel plate collaboration is by Gel Press. And you can get a tin to store them in. There's one really large size, and then there's this set that has a set of 3. I can't find my circle. I just used it. So I have a small circle all the time. So anyway, I've got to try to find it. And also a long skinny one. So I'm going to use the long skinny one today, as well as one of the small rectangles. By the way, this is the dried version of yesterday's eggplant and Sedona with a little bit of turquoise and peacock on there. So I just thought it looked really cool dry. So ready to either leave as is or create. I don't know. I just love that combo. Okay. So the thing about gel plates is there are a million, I don't know if there's a million, but I would guess there are thousands of videos about gel plates and their various forms and brands and stuff. There are artists that post a lot of videos of using gel plates, and you can probably go down the gel plate wormhole and watch for a really long time. There are, and you guys feel free to pop in with names of artists that you do a lot of gel press videos. Carolyn Doobie is one. Kate Crane, Birgit Koopsen. If you don't follow her, you're missing out. Birgit Koopsen, Marsha Valk. Gosh, there's so many who do lots of really cool gel plate tutorials. Sally Lynn McDonald. So, I don't know what I can say to add to the conversation necessarily. But what I thought I would show you is how I use my masks to make focal points on my prints. When I teach my beginning gel plate class, one of the things we focus on, and Julie Faye-Fan Belzer, by the way, she's an awesome printer. Andy Skinner, yep. One of the things that I focus on when I teach a class on gel printing is making a composed print, because one of the things that we do really well with gel plates is making a million backgrounds, and that's just a cinch, right? Because you mess around and at the very worst, a gel print is a background that you can cut up or draw on or keep going. At its best, it's a composed print, and that is a lot more challenging. And so that that's kind of what my 3-hour gel plate class focuses on, and that's on my list actually to film for online. And there is a little learning curve to gel plate, and when I've seen people struggle in class about using the plate, it almost always comes down to how much medium you're putting on the plate. So too little medium will be like not a good print, and too much will create what I call a mushy print. Okay, so too much medium on the plate is a common issue, and then another common issue is color choice. Okay, and what really comes into play with gel printing is opacity of paint. So we're spreading the paint really thin on these plates, and so even if a paint has a lot of opacity, when we're spreading it thin, we're decreasing the opacity of that paint a little bit. And then as we're layering colors, a color that you think might show up and be amazing, it just might not, depending on transparency of paint. Golden has a paint color that I love. It is called Indian Yellow Hue, I think, and green. I also love green gold from Golden. Now, those two paint colors are just gorgeous, but when you print with them on later layers, I've been frustrated because they're so transparent that they pretty much act like a glaze later. Okay, so and just experiment and play. What's the worst? Again, the worst that happens is you're making some backgrounds, right? Now, somebody mentioned my plates, so I don't clean my plates. A lot of you will not find that shocking. That's just a personal preference. I also don't clean stencils, especially when I'm printing, because I feel like you get better and more visually interesting prints the dirtier your tools are. Also teaching a new class this year, I hope, if I ever get back on the road, called Not Your Grandma's Gel Printing, where I show you guys how just weird and different ways that I've been non-traditional ways that I've been using these gel plates. So they're a simple tool that have lots and lots of creative options and methods. So there are many ways to do it. There are hands that do it. But so for those of you that are brand new, the bottom line is this is a silicone plate that saves you from having to create your actually melt gelatin and and pour it into a cookie sheet and then put it in your fridge, and then you use that for a couple days, and then it breaks down, and then you have to remelt it. Joyce, I store them, in theory, I try to put them back in their tin. I will say this little one that's on my desk all the time just goes in my drawer. So, yeah. Diane has strong opinions about cleaning and storing plates. I, however, do not. I find they're pretty strong. I mean, you can damage them a little bit, but who cares? All right, so I'm going to start with a layer of paint. Oh, that's one of the old ones. Hold on. I'm going to start with a layer of paint on the plate. Now, if you go to the printmaking websites, and you know the Linda St. Germain, by the way, is a gelatin printer whose tutorials I found exceptionally helpful. And she, you know, and other printmakers would tell you that you really shouldn't put paint directly on the plate. And the reason that you shouldn't is you end up with so much, you know, too much medium, and then you get mushy paint. And no, I don't use the gel conditioner because I don't care. I think Diane's used it. It really will take your plate back to like ground zero. It'll kind of resurrect it. But Linda St. Germain would say don't put medium directly on your plate, because what you want to do is put it on the side. You want to pick your brayer up, pull it down, pick it up, and then go one direction. Don't go back and forth like this, or you're only putting some medium on part of the brayer, right? So go ahead and do full revolutions, and then full revolutions on the plate. Now that said, here in a minute, you're going to watch me put paint directly on the plate, because we all do it. And, you know, yeah. So that's the theory. The practice is I don't really do that. So once you get your plate coated in paint, oh, and by the way, traditional printmakers would never use acrylic paint to print with. They would use printmaking ink because it has a very long open time, whereas acrylic paint dries. But they do not come in the tins, Beverly. You can buy the tins separately. And the tins are really inexpensive, by the way. They're not expensive at all. They're like $6. So here's how I like to start. I like to, and sometimes I'll do more than one color on the plate. I can tell right now I've probably put a little bit too much paint on it, but oh well. And then anything you want to do to manipulate this paint is fair game. You can stamp on it, you can press stencils into it, but what I like to do to begin is I like to put a stencil down. I then like to take my dirty brayer and I like to roll over the back of the stencil. And then I like to pick it up, put it aside because you're gonna use it again. Do not clean that thing. And then grab whatever you're printing on, and you can print on anything you want. I like to print on a very smooth paper or cardstock, and my collage tissue, deli paper prints great, tags print great. What can you print on? The answer is yes. Give it a nice burnish. Sometimes I just go like that. And then pick it off the back. Ooh, I got lots of delicious residual. This is why I don't clean my plate, you guys. Look at that. That right there is the joy of a dirty plate. Diana, yes, you can use my glazing medium. So if your paint is drying really quickly, my glazing medium, one of the purposes for it is use 1 part glazing medium and 10 part paint, and then that'll help keep your acrylic paint open a little bit longer, okay? So, yeah, and I also print on the white on white tissues as well. So look at that delicious residue that I got off that dirty plate. Like, that's fantastic. It's so good. My view is still blurry, by the way, so you guys will have to pipe in and tell me. Hopefully you can see. Okay, so then the next thing that I like to do is go again. And I will print as many backgrounds as I feel like in a session. Color rules will apply, so it's very easy to make mud when you gel print. So now I'm going to take that dirty stencil that has that It's actually dry practically, you guys, thanks to Arizona. I'm gonna pull that down. I'm also going to maybe take one more color. And while that stencil's still down, I'm gonna rub some of it in through the stencil as well. Then I'm gonna pick the stencil up, and then new piece of paper, print again. So in this way, you just play and play and play. So I always say my gel play origin story. Kathy, who used to own the Occasional Artist in downtown Glendale, that's the store that I considered my home-based store, she got gel plates in, and you know, she was like, hey, do you want to take this home? These are all the rage. And I was like, no, I don't. Not really interested. And she said, well, they're really cool and people are really enjoying them. And I was like, yeah, no, that's cool. That's lovely, but it's not for me. And she kind of basically insisted that I bring home this gel plate. So I brought it home, and it sat on my in my studio for about 2 weeks. And 2 weeks go by, and I thought, man, I better get this back to her because she's going to be needing it back. By the way, if you put alphabets down, remember they have to go backwards. They have to go backwards, or they'll print weird. So to print forwards, you got to put it on backwards. Anyway, so I pull out this plate, and I start playing, and I pull a few prints off, and basically had an existential spiritual experience. And I call Kathy and I say, I'm really sorry, you're gonna have to charge me for this plate because I am not bringing it back. And I need you to order me 10 more because I'm gonna teach with them. So she did. She ordered me 10 more and I bought them. And I started teaching gel plate classes. Look at that deliciousness, my friends. I mean, do you just not want to snog that? Am I curing you of the need to clean every bit of residue off your plate and stencils? I don't know if I am. Notice I'm changing colors as I go so that I can get maximum of the residue to stand out. This is Aloe, by the way, one of the most underrated new pastels. Really pretty green. My new pastels are based on the succulent colors of not Arizona, but sort of Arizona. Okay, I'm missing, because I'm not looking, I'm missing a lot of comments. If you have questions, hopefully people can pipe in. Yeah, Travis, you're so right. You can gel print, you can do this for hours, so, right? So, and you should. Should you do this for hours? My friends, yes, you should do this for hours. Absolutely, you should. The question comes in, so now you've got all these printed pieces. How do you turn them into a print that maybe you could just put your name on and put them on your wall, right? Okay. All right, so here are my prints. Let me, and there's, I mean, this is just so basic, you guys. This is, there's a million more things that you can do with the plate than just put a stencil on there. I will show you one of my favorite things is to layer the stencils through my really big stencils. So what I'm looking for, so like grab one of my stencils that has the really big openings, and I'm just transferring to white cardstock. Try it on everything. Anything that's really porous and that has a lot of what do you call? Texture. It'll require more paint for you to use. Okay, so lay down your small stencil with small openings. This is the Ranger brand Brayer. And then lay down, oop, I did it wrong, you guys. Let's flip it. All right, so lay down your big shapes, lay down your small shape, press this through your big shape. You can probably do it either way, actually. Now I've got stars with polka dots in them. I know Birgit's magazine prints were really cool. I do not clean my brayer. And plus Birgit is just such a sweetheart. So by layering the stencils with the really large shapes with the stencils with the small shapes, you can get cool patterns inside the shapes themselves. Okay, so now I've got all these lovely backgrounds and I have to think to myself, now what? I want to keep going, so now I'm going to print on these prints many times. So what I like to do is think about this in terms of a mixed media piece. So what, Bernstein. So now I want to use a mask to give this some focus, okay? And, sorry, I'm just trying to figure out what I've got. So here's my basket of some of the masks that I have. I know, I've tried to do Birgit's technique, but I suck at it. It's so cool though. She's amazing. All right, so I'm picking out the shapes from this basic set as well. I'm gonna put this aside because I don't need the stencil bit today. I just need all my shapes. I've also got combs here. There's a stamping block in there, which makes no sense. But you know, why would I make sense? I have silhouettes, all different kinds of stuffings. All right, love me a good circle. So now what I like to do is, if this print takes the whole footprint of the plate, the next printing little bit that I add is going to take a less of a footprint. It's kind of like that gallon pint color theory that we talked about the other day. So I don't use the whole plate at this point. Now I just use a portion of the plate because I only want this to end up on a portion of So it's kind of like, what would you be adding again if this were a background in your journal? I want to narrow my focus down, right? Love. And this is where your transparencies will really be obvious, the transparencies of your acrylic. My acrylic in general works really good. All right, so let's see. Now, just like any layering, when you add the next layer, you've got to overlap and you have to be committed to losing part of what you just did, right? So now, if I don't stop talking, I'm not going to get any printing. Leaving the masks down, I'm going to print. Okay, so see how that is now narrowing the focus of the print. All of a sudden, our eyes have 3 dots to follow, right? All right, let's print on that one again. So let's add some peacock. Oopsie. Just gonna do some lines. Love, love. Taking a knife, a palette knife, and I'm dragging it through. And I'm going to look at my piece and think, okay, now I now have lines. I want the lines to overlap the circles just a tad. So So I think I'm going to go there. There. I think I overlapped too much. Oh well. There. Okay. See how I'm drawing your eye to those circles? Let's put the rest of those lines on something else because there's a lot of paint there still. Perfect. And then I'm going to add some more. The answer is, should you keep going? I don't know. Cool. La, la, la. I'm gonna do another circle because in the end, so now I'm working towards darker paint, okay? Well, this one's not darker. This is kind of a color that's happening. It's not gonna turn muddy, but I wanna repeat. I wanna repeat my shapes. Oh, Dina. Did you know if you get paint on the back of the mask, that is not good? All right. Repeating shapes. Nice. Okay. La, la. So I move between print to print because I don't necessarily want this on the print that I'm kind of focusing on, but I also don't want to waste all that, the rest of that paint that's on that plate. So in order to pull it up in different incarnations, I move from print to print and mess around and play. All right, so back to this one. So now I'm going to do the circles one more time with the darkest color. You know, and some prints will be magical and you won't know how you got it that way. And some just won't work. But what I would do is refer you to the video from the playing critique session where we talk about different ways that you can use all of those even puke on a page pieces, right? So I don't want this dark border to be quite so big, so I'm going to pull it up on another piece of kind of scratch paper. Okay, better. And then I'm going to come back here, and right there I'm going to print the final focal. And if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, again, I think it works good. All right, so let me show you how I'm going to trim that. Just give me 1 sec. I just want to not waste this. La, 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 la. Ooh. Dropping it. Dropping it. This is going to be its own, I think. So that's what that looks like. Something to keep playing with later. All right. So now I get to this point and I want to frame this and alter it so that it looks that I have the most pleasing composition. So what I'm going to do is take just a sheet of plain cardstock and cut myself a viewfinder. And I want to narrow down my focus and see how that looks. I like that. It's so symmetrical, it's kind of bugging me, but let's widen that up. I think that's it right there, you guys. What do you think? I think that's it. See how by removing any noise, you get to decide what the star is. If I could find a paper cutter, I could use it. That would mean I would have to find it. All right, so there's my little print. I think it needs white. La, 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 la. Everything better. La 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 la. La 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 la. By circling around that circle that's in my background with a little bit of white print, that is ensuring that that's where I want you to look, right? And then you've got all that delicious grunge on there from the dirty plate, the dirty stencils, how I mount my paper pieces. Sure, we can talk about that. All right, cool. All right, now let's go back. I still have this, right? Boo! I think sometimes we think because we've printed on a big piece of paper, that print needs to stay big. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't need to stay big. Cut it down, people. I think that's done. What do you guys think? I think when there's already a lot happening in that background, I don't necessarily need it to be quite so layered. I don't know, I don't really want to cut that one down because the grunge is so delicious on that one. Don't you think? Sure. Answer my own question. All right, now let me show you another one of my favorite ways to narrow focus. And it's just by using a simple tag. So, let's see. I'm gonna use this one. Wow, that is some blackberry. I hardly ever start with blackberry. I like it though. Somebody answered a question that on yesterday's color demo that I didn't answer till later in the day, so I don't know if people saw it because I didn't see it when the question first came out. The question was, how do you tone down red? And my answer was, you can't really tone down red. It doesn't tone down because red reaches your eye first. It's physics. So the wavelength of red paint with those rods and the cones in your eyeballs, that wavelength hits your eyes first. That's why we always see red. That's why I see red first. It's why stop signs are red. That's why if somebody in your group is wearing a red shirt, that's what will be the most noticeable. So red is always, there's no way to really tone it down. It is what it is. Okay. So there's one sort of grunge print. I talked too long, which is why I didn't get a solid print, but I like it. Works for me now. So then what I'm gonna do is coat the whole plate with another color. I guess we'll use that one. Oh, Dina. What am I doing? Goodness gracious me, oh my. That was a lot of paint, guys. Still a lot of paint. La 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 la. La 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 la. Is my singing annoying? I think it's annoying me today. All right. So basically I'm going to use a tag as a mask. So I'm going to grab a tag. I'm gonna lay that down. Don't get paint on the back of it. I don't know any way, other way to be than messy. It just is. It's just my life, right? Yeah, I didn't use quite a dark enough color, but it still looks cool. Let's do it again. This time, look at the tag though. Delicious. All right, let's do it again. Let's use, let me see, let's use night. Love. I know the pulls are good, aren't they? I agree. Just like masking will save anything in your art journal, so will masking save anything in a print. It really will. That stencil took so much of that paint off. I can tell you right now it's not going to work, so I'm going to give that a separate print on tissue. And then I'm going to try again. This tube of paint is feeling thicker. I'll put it on a little bit thicker. La, 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 la. Let's just make marks in that paint. So this is a metal straw to save the turtles. I'm just marking in the paint. You could press stamps in it, whatever you feel like. All right, tag's gonna go down. Yeah, it's so dry here, you guys. Murphy's oil, I don't know what you're talking about because I just glanced up and saw Murphy's oil soap, but Murphy's oil soap will resurrect your brushes. Isn't that cool? So I love the shape that you get. Oh, look at that, you guys. Do you just want to snog that? Because I do. Love me a good old snog. All right, here, somebody said it needs cheddar, and yes, it does. Ooh, my laundry's done. Well, somebody want to come move it over for me? I'm going to add my pop of color, just like we talked about yesterday, in controlled amounts. And no, this will not hurt your plate. I've even scratched on my plate with a bookmaking awl. I mean, not hard with the tip, but it survived. La, 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 la. Cool. I like it. Let's put it 2 more spots. Ooh, I missed the tag. Ooh, so well. La, 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 la. This would be a great book cover, wouldn't it? Cool. All right, next. So as you go and play, you'll get ideas and get different incarnations of the paint load. Sometimes so ghost prints are always what you pull up after you've made one print, right? And often they're better than the original because you're not trying so hard. Let's see if I can get all of that residue up. I loaded this paint purposely really thick and know this is going to be mushy. Like I said, I did that on purpose just to try to get that residue, that night residue that's all over the plate. I'm gonna let it sit for just 1 second. See if I can find another one of my giant stencils. I love a stencil that provides, that points directions, which is why, because you can pull the eye around something if you point with a stencil. So like this stencil is quite useful for giving a sense of direction. Yeah, snog is a makeout session, a big wet snog. It's delicious. Okay, I'm just swimming in paint. Stick with analogous colors, I would say, at the beginning. Yep, way mushy. It looks really cool though, you guys. I got some of that residue up. Let's see if I can pull the ghost. Often I don't get good ghosts in Arizona because of the dry climate. I'm always envious of people in humid climates and the ghost prints that they get. Let's see. Oh, get ready for snogs. That pulled up a lot. Look at that. And you can still see the tag. Isn't that so cool? You can still see the marks too with the drinking straw. Oh, you guys. Have you tried running a humidifier? I haven't. But that could work. Especially since my studio is so small. That could work. All right, let me go back to my masks and some white paint. I don't know where I would plug it in. I have issues. I have a friend who's a psychologist and I would tease her all the time. I'm like, are you always psychoanalyzing me? And she was like, there's not a couch big enough. I've tried ghosting with water. It doesn't work awesome for me. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. It really mushes the paint out for me. So it's not my favorite, but chances are it's user error. Yes, you can use my sprays on the plate. That's going to be part of my new class, but I'll show you a little bit how I do it. Okay, so what's nice about white paint and masks, okay, that mask has a lot of paint stuck to it. So it's going to print funny. If you have a mask or a print that's really dark, white paint with a mask will help. So I'm just going to print on this. I mean, I actually really like that, but it's what I have available to print on that's kind of on the darker side. Yeah, and somebody else was demoing with gloss sprays on the plate. I'll show you one of the ways I like to do that. Oh my gosh, you guys. Delicious. Delicious, delicious, delicious. Is that not so cool? So one of the ways that I like to use sprays on the plate is I think they're better on the plate in a layer of other acrylic, okay? Because they're so fluid, if you spray them on the plate without any acrylic on it, they're just gonna beat up. So for me, I think it's easiest to start with a layer of paint. Just seeing if I can get a ghost from that. All right, so I'm gonna start with a layer of paint. Nice thin layer, not thick. It's like I teach classes, I know. And I've made so many ugly prints in my life, and I just don't care. I still make ugly prints. Sometimes you got it, and sometimes you don't. You just never know until you sit down. So I like to start with gloss spray. I like a thin layer of paint, a thin layer, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and lay down a stencil. There's a lot of paint on that stencil that I want to transfer off, so I'm actually gonna rub it a little bit, okay? So then I'm going to hit my gloss sprays. And again, color will matter here. You with the gloss spray, because they're so incredibly fluid, it would be very, very easy to make mud. Also remember, these do not come out nice and fine like a Dylusions ink spray. These have a thick droplet, so you're never gonna get this nice even coating. So what you need to do is have a couple of sprays and then leave it. Don't go for, you know, complete coverage, or I think you'll be disappointed, okay? It's really all in the quantity of gloss spray that you're putting down. So then I'm gonna pick that up and I'm gonna go ahead and print. If you have too much beaded up, you're gonna get mush, right? Because anytime there's something really with a high bead on the plate, you're gonna get mush. So you've got to keep it light. You need less than you think you do. Look at that deliciousness. And what's cool is when that dries, it's gonna have that little gloss finish. Alcohol ink on the plate. So alcohol ink is not my medium, really. I mean, I've used it a little bit. Sally Lynn McDonald came to Ranger and taught a class and showed us how she uses alcohol ink on the plate. I believe she has a video out there somewhere as well. If anybody, and so you might want to find her video. And who else? Somebody else was using them on the plate a lot. The effect was really cool on the plate, though, I will say. I liked it. I had a blast playing with it. I had never done it before. Her process didn't quite work for me the way it works for her, so I kind of just played around. But the bottom line is I think with the alcohol, you also need to have the alcohol ink in a layer of paint first as well, is what I remember. But I'm not the alcohol ink expert at all. I don't even think I own any, actually. All right, so I flipped that stencil around, so the side that had the spray on it, I flipped it over, pressed it down so that that would be on the plate, so that I could ghost the stencil. Isn't that delicious? Look at those. That's so cool. Let's do one more for kicks. La, 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 la. All right. Let's see. What am I feeling? I'm gonna start with cheddar. Half the time I start with, you know, my cool beginnings, right? And that's all right. That's fine. La, 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 la. Start with cheddar and some lemon. Oh, the only thing that's giving me pause is I wish the stencil was dirty. Do I clean my gel plates and brayer? I do not. Do not clean them. Sometimes I do. If I can tell I'm going to get a good final print, I'll coat my gel plate with a lot of paint, and I'll put it face down in my journal, and then just leave it to dry overnight. And in the morning, when you pick it off amazing things happen. Oh, by the way, if you have not gel printed with my metallic paint, you are missing out because it is dabomb.com. Resist the urge to overspray or bad things will happen. And I'll show you one of my favorite. So the reason that's mushy is I had too much spray there, right? Okay, let's pick that off and coat that again. I'm gonna pull out one of my metallics and show you one of my fave things to do. My metallic paints have a really yummy smell too. At least I think they do. They smell kind of minty or something, I'm not sure, but I like them. Oops. Notice all of the colors I'm mostly picking, unless I'm trying to arrange a focal point, are light to medium. So I don't print with really dark colors until I want you to look somewhere. So you're just not gonna see me start dark. That said, the more you go, you may end up with a really, really dark print. And metallic will save your hiney. I'm looking for Penny. There we go. Okay, so load your whole plate and let's just take a sniff. It smells so good. There's something about metallics that smells so good, you guys. I don't know why. Load your whole plate with the metallic. Sniff your Brayer. Get yourself a comb. What did I do with the comb? It was on my desk. I don't know, you guys. I don't know where that comb went. All right, we'll use this one. And make yourself a giant scratching into the metallic. Take the print that you think is a hot mess. What you do? Well, I'm going to do this one. I don't think that's a hot mess, but I'm going to use that one because it'll show up. And print over the whole shebang. And it just creates a really beautiful effect on the print. I mean, it's not a focal point print, but it's great for really, really cool texture. And a little bit of shine. Happiness is printing and not doing your chores. All right, any questions that I can answer? You just gotta play. So much of this is play, 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 play. Playing is how you learn. At the worst, remember what I always say, the very worst, it's a background, and the best, you can, put on your wall. Yeah, I use white paint all the time. So I use it as a neutral, use it to lighten up dark areas. I'll do small bits of white to tone down areas that got away from me. So really, you got to think about this just like you're building a different, an art journal page or a card or a mixed media piece, but instead you're using this method for all. My gloss sprays. So in the journals, I would, if I like the print, as it is, look at that, you guys. That's Arizona in a print. If I like the print, I just stick it in and call it done. If I just use it as a background, I glue the print or staple it in, and then I will then proceed with focal point. So I will draw, stamp, collage, put whatever I want on it. Do gloss sprays need to be cleaned off stencils? I don't clean anything, so no. No, they don't need to be cleaned. I know, isn't that a cool patina? That's Arizona right there. That's metallic, verdigris, right? Turquoise and copper. So pretty. Carmen, I'm not very good at that technique. You need to go to the expert for that technique if you're gonna print. So you guys, I just use them as backgrounds in my journals. So if I grab a journal and I want to use a print in here, this is now a background, right? So that will go there. Wow, what a good job I did cutting that. Well done, Dina. La, 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 la. Oops. Wax paper. I don't use wax paper. Do you mean deli paper? Yeah, Capri said to do the same as you. The only way I clean my plate is I put a print on, or I put more paint and pull another print. Or I put paint on the plate, put it face down in my journal, let it dry, and then in the morning pull it off and it'll be pretty much clean. But I just don't care about it being clean. I mean, you saw that I pulled today, and it was spectacular because it had all the grunge from previous printing sessions. So, a brand new plate and brand new stencils. Oh, deli paper. I use it just like I would use this. It just happens to be transparent. So, yep, you can use gel medium on the plate, seal scribble sticks. The tin I got, Laura, you can get the tin from whoever carries my products. I don't use Mod Podge, but gel medium you can. Yeah, there's videos for that. If you use paint or sprays on your white printed, are you using them on the printed side or the reverse? You don't care, and I'm not even paying that much attention. Often I'll spray both sides so that it really goes through. So and again, deli paper is kind of like my tissue, but my tissue's not as waxy and you can do a little bit more with it. But so these tissuey bits are now wonderful collage elements. So then these are gonna get torn. I'll use gel medium to glue that in, and then that becomes a wonderful foundation for a focal point. Wonderful collage paper. Sense the deli paper. Just use it like any painted paper that you've done, and it just what I love about it is the transparency of tissue and deli. The piece that I did for the Show Us Your Media today. Can you see the transparent papers? Like, I don't even necessarily glue the transparent paper down all the way because I like the way that the contrast that I'm getting between the solid paper, the book paper, the card, and the thin paper not glued down all the way. You want to see the Arizona print? It looks better in real life, probably, you guys. Did that make sense, Jill? So, even this design, so I will prints now they do the hard work for you for backgrounds, actually. I mean, even if you start with a page that has no painting on it, all of a sudden something that you've printed goes in there, and you put a focal point on, and you're done, right? It's just it's a fun way. And why print when you can just paint your pages? Well, the reason I print instead of painting pages is a print will always have a different visual quality. And you have a sense of serendipity with a print that you can't get any other way, because you can't control the process as much as you'd like, especially with mono printing. So this printing that we're doing today is mono printing, and it means you pretty much get one print per loading of the plate. But we all know that you can, depending on how much you put on, you can get a ghost or sometimes even 2 ghosts off the plate. So it really does just depend. But it really is an experimental process. And if you're not giving yourself that freedom to experiment, you'll never end up with magic. You know, you need to have that play mode. Sometimes, Marilyn, I am after a true end project. So like if I make a print that I think is fantastic, and like this to me stands on its own as a finished print, I could put that in a frame and put that on my wall. So yes, I do want to make composed prints, and composed prints, when I teach my 3-hour gel print class, my composed prints are the goal of that class, because it's really easy to make tons and tons of backgrounds. And what's hard is to create a print that has focus. So, yep, reverse printing is fun. Absolutely. Did that make sense? There's definitely a learning curve. Yeah. And you know, sometimes what you make, you know, like this would look really cool in a frame with a black frame. Yeah, Tara, that's on my list to do. And then sometimes they're just not working. I would say out of all the prints that I make in a day or in a printmaking session, only a few end up kind of wall worthy, and the rest end up as, you know, painted papers that I can use in different ways. So it just depends. Not every single one is magic. It just isn't. But every now and then one will be magic. And then you can never do it again. That's what cracks me up about it. It's like, dang, I'd like to repeat that. Nope. Wall worthy, yeah. I still love this print, you guys. This one is delicious. Got lots of options here. Marla and Carol, are you guys still pals? Do you still pal around and make art? Nashville, Indiana? Like, I think this would be wall worthy. You know what I would do to pop the color on this little print is it definitely needs some cheddar. So just because you've made the print doesn't mean you can't add stuff to it that's not printing. I'm gonna drag a little bit of that through there, give me a color pop. And then I think it needs some speckle. Let's speckle it with turquoise to give another color pop. I used to tell the story all the time that in the Phoenix Art Museum there was a really cool printmaking exhibition by an artist named Rufino Tamayo, a Latin American artist who does all kinds of work, painting, but he had a printmaking exhibition. And when I went to see his prints, it was really fascinating because he had printed and then he layered them, and they were really thick and they had fibers sticking out of them. And you know, this is the raw material, and then you can draw on them, stamp on them. You know, it's still a print, right? Still a print. So you can come back and narrow your focus and do what you need to do to make them shine, to make them be what you want them to be. If that makes any sense at all. Yeah, Jill, I agree. Give yourself permission to make bad art and lots of it. It will be so much better. You will have so much more fun if you just don't care if you suck. For real. Laura, are you a healthcare professional? Because in your profile picture, you're wearing a mask. If you are, our thoughts and prayers and hopes are with you guys to keep you guys strong and safe. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. Last night, that special on the news with all the interviewing the healthcare professionals was just heartbreaking. Like, I almost couldn't watch it. There are people out there sacrificing a lot. So it is amazing. All right, you guys. I hope that was informative, gave you a little something different to try. And if it wasn't different, that's cool. You might just not have done it for a while. So you can, you know, it gives you a little creative fodder, right? To get you going. So I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with me every day. Appreciate this artistic community so much. Participate and show us your media. You could win a prize from Ranger. And that would be awesome. All right, you guys. Thank you. Shop your local store. Ask them for the gel plate stuff. See you.